Wel, prynhawn da pawb and croeso y coginio ar y hyd. Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Happy Cymru Cook Along. My name is Richard and heddiw today, as you can see on my little notice board, we are celebrating World Fairtrade Day, which is on Saturday this week with the 8th of May, and we're going to be making some chocolate and Fairtrade banana muffins and also some cinnamon French toast ready for a wonderful Fairtrade themed sort of Saturday. Now, just as with all of the cook-alongs, now that I have got all of my computer bits all sorted, I quickly need to go and wash my hands and then I will be back in the room. So this is your 20-ish sort of second warning. I will be back. Go and grab yourself a little drink and I will be back in the room in 19 seconds and 33 milliseconds. I will be back. Well, prynhawn da, if you have just joined me, I'm just quickly washing my hands. Welcome to this afternoon's cook-along. As you can see on the notice board, we are celebrating World Fairtrade Day today, which is actually happening on Saturday this week. And we're going to be making two absolutely cowing lush items which will hopefully inspire you to go out and get some Fairtrade ingredients. So, quickly wash my hands, paper towel goes into there, let me just pop a little bit, I'm half back in the room, a little bit of antibacterial gel onto my hands and I'm definitely back in the room. So let's get started, and as with all of the cook-alongs, you know that I like to start with the official part and then it can naturally go downhill from there. So my official part this afternoon is prynhawn da pawb and croeso y coginio ar y hyd. Good afternoon everybody and welcome once again to the Happy Cymru Cook Along. My name is Richard and as I already said at the start of today's live Facebook video, we are celebrating World Fairtrade Day, which is actually happening on Saturday this week, so that's the 8th of May. But I thought, what could be better than me showing you two wonderful recipes that you can do to celebrate that lovely day. So as I might have mentioned right at the start, I can't remember because there's lots going around in my mind today with regards to the recipes, because I quite like these ones. We are going to be doing some, or using rather, some Fairtrade bananas and Fairtrade chocolate for our first recipe, and we're going to be making chocolate and banana muffins, which I promise you are probably one of my favourite things ever. And the second thing is a lovely breakfast sort of dish that you could be having on World Fairtrade Day, which, as I said, is Saturday, and we're going to be making some cinnamon and banana French toast, and I promise you that is absolutely blasus iawn as well. So let's get cracking with my our banana and chocolate muffins, and I'm hoping that if I just click that button just there, the recipe card has just come up for us just on that side. Let me just have a look. Yes, it has, and I just need to move my little recipe card just over there because my eyesight isn't as good as it used to be. So for our banana and chocolate muffins, you can see that just as with all of our muffin based recipes, I like to sort out the dry ingredients, couldn't get my words out then, the dry ingredients, and then we sort out the wet ingredients, and then we combine everything together. So what we have got for our dryish sort of ingredients, or the first job that we've got at least, is we have to mash up our banana. And I've tried to choose today, or I have chosen today, to use one of the Fairtrade bananas, so obviously the growers get a fair price ready for their products as well. So we've also got 125 grams of white self-raising flour. As I've already mentioned in previous cook-alongs, if you haven't got self-raising flour, plain flour is absolutely fine. Just add a teaspoon of baking powder, right? What you've then got for your dry ingredients is 50 grams of sugar. You've got 15 grams or half a packet of sort of, what is this, chocolate, couldn't get my words out then, Fairtrade sort of chocolate, and this was a bar of chocolate which I bashed down, and you can see that I've just got these lovely little sort of chunks, and they cook really well in there. We've also got some porridge oats ready to go in there as well, which is obviously going to help to increase that fibre content. For our wet ingredients, we've got the traditional egg, we've got some milk, and we've got some oil as well. So let's get cracking. The first thing you need to do is obviously to peel your banana, and the more brown your banana is, the better, right? In actual fact, I'm not going to use that banana. It's got a very funny shape and a little bit crispy. So I don't know what's happened to that. I only bought it this morning. So let me just pop that just over there. See, I told you this afternoon was going to go downhill. So I've got this larger banana just here. That's a bit better. You can never tell when they're not peeled, right? So all that we're going to do is just open and peel that just as so. I'll pop the skin just into there, and we're just going to mash it up. Now, the great thing about banana muffins, right, is that you can use that banana that is just about to walk out of your fruit bowl, right? The one that's really brown that everybody in the family is avoiding, right? And because that's the sweetest. And that means that we don't have to add as much sugar. So once I've got that peeled, I've just broken it up, and I'm just using a little fork just to mash my banana just like that. And I'm just pressing it against the side of my bowl, just as so, just until it starts to go into a nice sort of mashed sort of consistency. You don't want any lumps in this, right? So we're trying to mash it down as best as we possibly can. And I promise you, this is absolutely delicious. So that's my banana mashed just there. So I can get rid of my fork and leave that on there. Then I can add the rest of my dry ingredients. So as I mentioned, I've got 125 grams of white self-raising flour just there. I've got my 15 grams or 2 heaped dessert spoons of your chocolate, okay? And because it's fair trade, we're able to use it, right? And we have got our 50 grams of sugar just there, and I'm going to add just 3 dessert spoons, heaped dessert spoons of my porridge oats, just like that. And that's going to add an extra little bit of fibre, but also texture. I love having lots of different sort of textures. So I'm just going to give that just a little mix with my spoon just there. And that means, right, that banana, which will start to go brown in the air, will be prevented from having that chemical reaction with the air, right? So it'll stop your banana from going brown for a couple of moments as well. So we've got that one just there. So that's my dry ingredients, just like that. Now we can concentrate on our wet ingredients. And for our wet ingredients, as you can see on the recipe card, you need 1 medium-sized egg, you need 7 dessert spoons or 70 millilitres of milk, and I'm going to use dessert spoons today, and 40 mils or 4 dessert spoons of oil just there. So first job though is I need to crack my egg, and as you know, I always like to crack it using the back of a fork. Then I can get my thumbs in and pull that open just as so, and pop that just into there. Pop a little bit of antibacterial gel on my hands. I'm not going to whisk it because I'm going to whisk it afterwards. Then we can add our milk, right? So for my milk, I put it into a little bowl. Make sure that you're not doing half a drop. Make sure that you're having full spoonfuls just like that. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 for luck, right? So we've got our 5 just there. So I've got that one just like that. Let me grab myself another little spoon because I don't want to mix those up. And I need 40 mils of oil. And obviously if we were making a normal cake, we'd either use butter or margarine, and obviously butter is high in saturated fat. So we've chosen this afternoon to use a vegetable oil, which is basically rapeseed oil, and that means that it's higher in the good monounsaturates, so it's a healthier sort of oil or fat to be choosing, right? So I'm just very carefully going to whisk that up just as so. And what you don't want to do is to have your mixture too runny, and I'll show you what happens if your mixture is too runny afterwards. It will still cook, but your cakes will sort of spread very quickly, right? And they won't look as nice. Let me just pour that into there. So I'm going to put my wet ingredients, or my cynhwysion gwlyb, into my cynhwysion sych. So I'm going to pour all of those just in, just like that. And then I can grab myself a little wooden spoon, and I'm going to give it a little mix in one direction. Or as I like to say these days, I've added to that joke, right? Hopefully you've realised that it's a joke. Never forget to give it a little mix in one direction. I'll leave that little joke with you, right? So never forget to give it a little mix in one direction. You're not beating it, right? You're just mixing it up just like that until you have combined everything. You can see that it's not an overly runny mixture, right? And you can see that I'm not beating it. I'm just giving it a little mix, preferably in one direction, right? So that's all mixed up, so I can take that off just as so. Let me pop that just into there, and then I am going to cook them in my little muffin case just here. I'm going to pop those just into there, just like that. They work just as well in the silicone mould, but I quite like in these. I stupidly bought a very large job lot of them, so I'm desperately trying to use them, right? So let me pop those on there, and then when we're popping these in, what you want is you want to pop a little bit on your spoon and then scrape it off, right? A little bit on your spoon and scrape it off. And the way that I like to do it, I like to go around once, and then you can go back around afterwards. So a little bit on your spoon and scrape it off. You want it about 3/4 full. A little bit on your spoon and scrape it off. I can then go back round about 3/4 full. You don't want it overly full, because they'll just sort of expand and expand and expand, right? But you don't want them underfilled, because someone in the family will then be very upset, right? So you can see that I'm leaving enough space around the edges, and I've got a little bit left, but I'm going to make those sort of afterwards. Otherwise I'll be here until 9:30, and you can see that they're sort of 3/4 sort of full. The last thing that I'm going to do, just to add a little bit of extra crunch, is I'm going to add a little bit of my porridge oats on top, and you can see that's cooking. Now then, because that's now cooked, right, basically what happens is that as it starts to cook, the carbon dioxide the baking powder produces carbon dioxide, and your muffins will sort of rise just like that, right? If it's too runny, it'll sort of just flop over and just expand out that way. So to get that nice little rise, 3/4 full, make sure that your mixture isn't too sort of runny, and they'll rise really nicely. And I'm saying that because I made my mixture a little bit too runny earlier today, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out of the oven. I've had a nightmare today. So those are going to be baked off in my oven. My oven's already preheated to 180 degrees centigrade. That's gas mark 4, and you're going to cook them in the oven for approximately 20 to 25 minutes. Depends on whether you are on a fan oven or if you have got a conventional. This is conventional, so we're talking about probably about 25 sort of minutes. And I promise you, when they come out, here are the second batch that I made earlier. You can see that they're going to be lovely and golden brown. The little porridge oats on top will go lovely and crisp, and I promise you, these are absolutely blasses yowns. You can see that they've risen really well. So rather than sort of flopping all over the place, because we haven't overfilled them, there's been enough space for them to rise really nicely. Now then, as I said, those are my second batch, because my first batch I made the mixture too runny, and you can see what happened is rather than sort of rising, it's actually just sort of expanded all over the top, and you sort of get that little muffin top just there. Still just as delicious, right? But they don't look quite as good. So if you want them to look absolutely perfect, that's the sort of thing that you need to make sure that you're doing. So I'll stop waffling on and I'll get rid of those because I'm not the proudest of those, but out of every mistake comes a lesson, right? So I've told you about that. Now then, so that's our first recipe this afternoon, and I'm looking for a little cloth. Sorry, I'm cleaning, doing two things at once, can't talk and do another thing, right? So we're gonna now move on to our next recipe, which is going to be the star of the day show, which is our cinnamon sort of French toast served with our Fairtrade bananas, and we've got some blueberries and we've got a little bit of yogurt on the side. A perfect brunch sort of World Fair Trade Day sort of brunch recipe, really good for a weekend breakfast as well. So what we have got, let me just grab this little bit just here. We have got to go on top afterwards, we've got our sliced banana, we have got some blueberries, and I got a little bit of very naughty icing sugar that we're going to sprinkle over the top. So I'm just going to pop those just on the side. But the basis of our little piece of French sort of cinnamon toast is really simple. So let me just get rid of that recipe just there, because I realised that we're still on the muffins, and that's gone now. So I can press that one once again, and I'm hoping that, yeah, there we go, we have got the French toast recipe just up there. So it's cinnamon French toast with banana, and you can see the ingredients just there. So for the main ingredients, I'm doing half a quantity today. So I've just got one egg, and I'm going to add a little bit of milk to it in a couple of moments. We've then got our trusty sort of cinnamon, and I've got a slice of sort of white stroke half and half bread, right? So it's half white, half wholemeal, which I got from the local sort of bakery. So we've got that just there, and basically all that we're going to do is you need to crack your egg, and then you mix it with your milk, your cinnamon, give it a really good mix, pop it onto a plate, put your bread in one side, allow it to soak up for a couple of moments, turn it over, and then we're going to cook it in the frying pan. And I promise you, this is absolutely blassis iawn. Really easy, but really tasty. So let me just grab myself a couple of things just here. So what we're going to do, I've got my egg just there, which I am just going to open up just as so, and I'll pop that into my little container just over there. Then your recipe card says that you will need 6 dessert spoons. As I said, I'm doing a half mixture, so I'm just going to add 3 dessert spoons of sort of milk just like that, and I'm going to add about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of my, and that won't go in, so I'm just going to use the handle just like that, about a handleful of my little cinnamon just there. Now if you don't like cinnamon, just leave it out, right? And you've got normal savoury sort of French toast, but we're making a sort of breakfasty sort of French toast this morning. So I'm just quickly just going to whisk that up really well. When you come to do it, it might be easier to whisk it up in a jug, and then you'll have a bit more space to get everything sort of sorted, because what I'm finding now is that I have the risk of it going all over the table. So that's all now mixed up just as so, and literally all that I'm going to do, I've just got a little plastic sort of plate just there. I'm going to pop that in just as so, and you can see the cinnamon all the way around the top. I'm going to leave that just there, and all that we're going to do is we're going to pop our bread in on one side, just allow it to soak up for a couple of moments, and then I'm going to put my bread on the other side. Ideally, depending on how hungry you are, you might have 1 to 1.5 sort of slices, right? So we're just allowing that to soak up just there. Whilst that is soaking up, I'm just going to turn on my little cooker just here. so I want it on a medium sort of heat, and to that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of our vegetable oil, right? So we're going to cook it in that little bit of vegetable oil in a couple of moments. So let me just pull this out just there, just like that, and you can see that it's soaked up, but it hasn't gone all the way into the middle, right? So what you want to do is just make sure that you have got plenty, everything is covered, just like that, right? So if I haven't got any on there, there we go. So that's all now nicely covered, and all that we're going to do is I'm just waiting for this to heat up just a little bit. We're going to cook it, as it says on the recipe card, for about 1 to 2 minutes on one side. You don't want to overcook it, you don't want to burn it, and I know that I burnt a toasted sandwich a few weeks ago, so I'm going to be very, very careful today, but I promise you this is absolutely delicious, right? So I think that's now nicely heated up. I don't know why I got that plate, because I'm very, very carefully just going to pop that into my little non-stick sort of frying pan just there. And as I said, I'm going to cook it for 1 to 2 minutes on one side on a medium-ish sort of heat. Then you turn it over, and then once it's cooked, we can serve it with our lovely banana and things like that. So let me just grab that just there, and it's cooking really, really nicely now. Best to use a non-stick sort of frying pan, because then it just sort of comes straight off. So that's been cooking, I'm just checking now, that's been cooking for about 30 seconds, so another sort of minute, a medium sort of heat, and I promise you these are absolutely delicious. So just whilst that is cooking, I'm just going to grab myself one of those, and I also need that just there, and you can smell that wonderful cinnamon cooking off really, really nicely, right? I'm just going to grab one more thing from over here. So let's have a little look. So that's been cooking quite nicely, and all I'm going to do is, once you've done that, you flip it over, and you can see that that's beautifully cooked sort of on that side. And if you really need to, you can add a little bit more oil just to make sure that it's cooking nicely. Pop that underneath. There we go, just as so. And you can always sort of flip it over sort of afterwards. So just whilst that is cooking, as I said, I'm going to serve this today with some banana and sort of blueberries, right? And also a little bit of icing sugar and cinnamon over the top. So with your banana, you've got a couple of choices, right? What I sometimes do, right, is if I'm in a rush, right, and I'm serving bananas maybe as a snack when I'm visiting, you know, a nursery or something like that, I suggest that you cut your banana up like that, and that will stop it from going brown. And then what the kids can do, they can push and pop out their little banana just as so, right? The kids absolutely love doing it that way. So just push and pop, so your banana goes onto your little tray or plate just as so. So that one is just here, and I've got one more just there. The other way to do it is obviously just to peel it and then cut it up, which is what I'm going to do as well, right? So I think this is nearly, very, very nearly cooked, so I'm just going to cut those up just like that and pop my banana just on the side just as so. Then I have got some blueberries to serve afterwards, and I've also got some Greek sort of yogurt as well. So let's just have a little look. That is now nicely cooked on that side, and you can see that's beautifully sort of cooked now. The sort of cinnamon has allowed it to sort of crisp up really, really well. So I'm just going to pop that just on there, just like that, and I can move this over just as so. I'm going to cut that down just like that. Oh, it's hot, right? And then that goes one piece just on there, another piece just on there. I've then got my bananas just like that. I've got my yogurt, thick Greek yogurt, going on the side just as so. I've got some blueberries as a little special decoration for my yogurt. Might pop some blueberries just there because I love little blueberries. And oh, I tell you what, I'll pop more just like so. And then the final thing that we've got is I've got a little bit of icing sugar. Now then, what you can do with your icing sugar is, if you haven't got a sieve, don't panic, because you can use a lid of the cinnamon or something like that. Pop a little bit of icing sugar, and I've got a mixture of icing sugar and cinnamon just there. I'm not going to use all of that, because you can just then very, very carefully pull that off just as so, and then that becomes your little sort of sieve. So I'm just literally popping a little bit of that over the top just as so, and if I hold that up, you can see that you have got your cinnamon French toast served with Fairtrade banana, vanilla sort of yogurt or plain natural yogurt, and some blueberries. And I promise you, this dish is absolutely blassis yam. Well, that brings me to the end of today's Fairtrade sort of themed Happy Cymru cook along. I hope that you have enjoyed watching both of today's recipes. Don't forget that all the recipe cards are available on the Facebook page as well as our website. I will be back next week making some more delicious recipes, but in the meantime, if you have any questions, then please do pop them into the comments page. I forgot to say that earlier. And also, if you haven't had chance to complete the happy questionnaire, then obviously please do, because it really helps us to create more wonderful and exciting happy videos ready for the Facebook page as well. So diolch yn fawr, thank you very much for watching this afternoon. Enjoy World Fair Trade Day when it arrives on Saturday, and I will see you very, very soon. Diolch yn fawr.